another thing in the state of the Black Union, um, how is our music affecting? How is our music doing? I know this is something that 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 is burning in y'all souls. The state of uh, the Black Union in
Well,
music.
um,
Just let's just go. Let's just get right because I
I
know
look at
it's eating
music.
you up. Let's just start. Let's just go.
I look at
Good.
music as
I'm
art.
good with
Let's just
you
go
know.
with the 50-year thing. Let's
The
just
50
start
year
with
thing.
that. Like my position is, well, we're not owning our stuff.
Hmm. Very true.
Well, we're not owning our culture, really, so things are debatable. There's debate. And if you own your stuff in a documented way from the start, there is no debate.
Hmm.
Now, I might be the only one that's debating this, but I'm gonna just start us off by saying it ain't 50 years.
Um,
I'm gonna just make everybody mad and say it ain't 50 years.
well, that's my opinion too, because the hip hop on the whole, when the formula was really it's still being complete, but like you said, when it came to everybody's attention as what is known as hip hop, because hip hop is beyond just the rapping itself. It's the whole art form. It's the whole culture itself. Or maybe some people when they speak of hip hop, it's just the rapping itself. But my version of hip hop is the actual culture itself. You know, that could even be from the fashion to graffiti to the dancing, all of that, all the
Hmm.
elements were still being put into place.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So
When
when did it get in place?
when were those elements still being put into place?
And I was saying the 80s.
Mm.
I got a friend, right? Well, we were friends. We still friends, but we've been out of touch for super long. He's from DC, and we met in the late '80s, and we just you know how you meet, how you meet someone, and y'all just kind of roll together for a while, and that's how we were. And he's still my dude. I ain't talked to him in a long time, but anytime I talk to him, it's my dude. He's from DC. He said, "Yo, frankly, I never heard of any hip hop until he saw Run DMC.
Hmm.
And I thought that was strange. But we know that DC has their indigenous music. They have their go go, and they listen to funk and they listen to every other genre of music that we listen to. But they didn't have any knowledge of hip hop until he heard Run DMC broadcast on video, on the radio. So prior to that, he didn't know what hip hop was. And a lot of people around the world, that was their hit. So we talking 85.
Hmm.
So you talking Def Jam too. Talking Def Jam, because Def Jam was the ones at the time. It wasn't Death Row. It wasn't Bad Boy yet.
Hmm.
Well, none of that yet. It was Def Jam. And then you had Cold Chillin' Records. So that's like the Juice Crew. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Molly Mall and Shan,
Mhm.
Bismarck, yeah.
Bismarck, Shantae, Big Daddy Kane, Cool G Rap, Craig G. The list goes on. But Def Jam they put it around the world.
Yes.
So you got Japanese dudes in Adidas suits now after Run DMC showed up.
The Japanese show a lot of love for black culture,
German, yeah, hip hop.
not just hip hop, but reggae
I
too.
saw I saw I saw a video on YouTube with Big Daddy Kane in Russia,
Hmm.
ripping it,
Yeah, I
Crazy.
saw that video.
ripping it,
That's crazy.
and the Russians going bananas.
That's crazy.
That's hip hop. But anyway, now my thing with hip hop is not the years. I have a tendency to agree with KRS based on the fact that he was there. KRS and myself are the same age, but he was in the Bronx. He was in the South Bronx.
Hmm.
I was a little far removed out in Long Island, but he said when he came outside as a 12-year-old, hip hop was dead.
All right.
Now, why was hip hop dead? Because in order to go to so people fail to realize hip hop and disco move parallel. That's why the original name of the Fat Boys was the Disco 3.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They were the Disco 3 before they changed it to the Fat Boys. There's a lot of we had hip hop crew called the Disco Twins from Queens. The clubs weren't allowing dudes to come in and rap. They weren't allowing younger kids, because these are younger kids. These are children. So KRS is like 12. I'm 12 in like 1977. You got guys that go back in 75, earlier 75. These are the older guys, but they wasn't pop locking and breaking like we were. They was just yes, y'all, and say ho, throw your hand. That was them. We're looking at them like, oh, okay, say ho, and then we add our flavor to it. So, like, I clearly remember when Rapper Delight came out, and I was like 13. So that's like 70. People say 77. I remember 78.
But that's not the first.
Question though. Question. This is
not the first.
A thinker's question, right?
All right.
When football first started,
okay,
they didn't even do the forward pass.
Basketball, same way.
So when
basketball didn't. Excuse me. Basketball didn't cross over.
Yeah, so
they didn't change hands.
When you look at,
but it was basketball.
Old football without the regular helmets, and was more similar to rugby.
Right.
Even though it's called football, do you still feel the same way?
It was football.
It's called football.
It was still football,
but
it was just not full grown into.
See, and that's why I agree with
the NFL.
But here's my antithesis to both things: the football, the hip hop, and basketball. The difference is it was still called basketball back then. It was called basketball at that time.
That's right.
It was called
football
at the time.
It was called.
It was not called
what was it
hip
called?
hop. It was maybe called rap.
It was called To Get Down.
Well, he's talking about like when they're talking about in the early 70s and all of that stuff.
Right.
The name hip hop.
We term. Right. So I'm the.
We didn't call it. Nah, I didn't call it. We didn't call it.
Yeah. But this
we just did it.
Right. But see, we
just did it.
But this is why. This is where we wrong, in my opinion. Like this is where what we're doing wrong. If you can't grab a hold of your culture and own it, and standardize it, so to speak, then you just leave everything open to interpretation.
That's already done.
To subjection.
Hip hop is already out of our grasp.
Well,
in terms of ownership,
this is true. So what you end up with is a lot of ambiguity, a lot of argument, a lot of subjectivity.
You're gonna have it anyway.
Well, not necessarily. Do you argue about when basketball started? Do you argue
when basketball started?
Well, but do you argue? But you may not have been there for hip hop, but you was there for basketball to know that the forward didn't exist, right? Well, you just stated it, right? You two both just agreed, right, that it didn't exist. There's no argument about that.
It was still basketball.
It was still basketball. So, I mean, if hip hop is 50, right? I was born in 73. Now, the day I was born, I'm not going to recognize everything.
Right.
But from 73 to 83.
So what is hip hop then?
What
is hip hop? We have to define what it is now.
But we need to define it now, but we can't define it now because we don't own it.
One thing
it's so far out of our hands.
I agree with them because
when I say we, what are we who's
hip-hop
we?
Parties now. All right, they were having block parties. What was that necessarily hip hop party? Because you could have a block party, you could have been playing any type of music.
I told you that. I said that to you yesterday. It was not enough so-called hip hop in terms of records to even fill up a whole party.
So,
but it had to do with rocking the danceable part of the record,
Yeah.
and the DJ would bring that back and bring that back. It was being done in the parties. It was being done in the parks. It was being done in the basements. It was being done at the venues. It had to grow.
Yeah.
It didn't start out. It started out small, like everything
Hmm.
else starts out, and then it grows, and then it grows, and then it grows. Like I said, to me, Fab Five Freddy was very instrumental. And I even say Ralph McDaniels was instrumental with video music by Fab Five Freddy was on MTV. They were broadcasting. This is what these kids in New York City streets are doing.
Hmm.
And everybody said, "Oh, what are they doing? They're DJing,
Mm.
they're MCing, they're breaking, they're graffiti tagging." And KRS One says, or what you call it says, Bambaataa says the knowledge. KRS One says the knowledge. I also say the fashion. And reason why I say fashion, I'm gonna segue into my lane, even though I did try to. I had a stint MCing, and I originally wanted to DJ.
We all, if you was from them times, how did you not have a stint MCing? I mean, I'm just saying that's from our days, right?
Yeah.
I mean, yours is a
Everybody.
little bit, but from like them times, we was
You
all
wanted
part of that
you wanted to
culture.
be involved
Yeah,
Yeah.
because your generation was involved with that.
yeah, we always creating it. We may not have
Exactly.
rose up to
And
become
how do you
artists.
know that? Because I see that guy over there. He got the Adidas with the fat laces.
Yeah,
He got the Lee jeans. He got the Kango.
the
He
triple
got the
fat
he
goose.
got the he got the yeah, he got the Lee suit on.
Mm-hmm.
He got the double ring.
Oh, I have me a Lee
I
suit,
already know.
pinstripes,
So,
Pinstripe. I had
pinstripe,
birthday
baby.
pinstripe with the
so
mock neck.
question. In your
I
opinion,
got the gear. I got the
they,
pictures.
they have a lot of DJs that they're considering hip hop DJs, which is debatable. Some of these DJs that they brought before the main DJs that they call the founding fathers, because there's a debate now: are these guys the founding fathers? All of these guys were DJs, but were some of these DJs their predecessors that taught them how to DJ and certain techniques? Were they actually hip hop DJs or were they just DJs?
There's a difference between blending to keep the party going and cutting and scratching and all of those antics.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now we getting
When
into
you cutting and scratching and all of those antics, to me that's hip hop.
All right.
If I'm on the two turntables and I got Love's the Message on this one and Love the Message on that one,
Mm-hmm.
and I just blend that perfect dance part, and I just keep the party going and keep it blended and keep the BPMs and everything
Mm-hmm.
queued up properly, and boom, and everything is still going and everybody's rocking. That you have that in disco.
Yeah, so that's what
You
it's
have
like.
that in the discotheque.
People
You have that in Studio 54, I
people
dare
are
say.
confusing, like, just because this DJ,
Larry Levan is a club DJ.
yeah,
It's a house music
he
DJ.
may have influenced some of the other DJs, but they put their twist on it, which turned it into hip hop,
Hip hop to
which
me,
developed it into hip hop. Like they're saying these names, and I'm not disrespecting those elder DJs,
right, right.
but to label them as hip hop DJs, can people really do that in all fairness?
well,
Like I said, it depends on what techniques they're implementing.
Yeah.
To me, it
see,
depends on what techniques they implementing. If you cutting and scratching, and you doing Grandmaster Flash, and you doing turntable wizardry,
Hmm.
you a hip hop DJ.
Okay,
right.
but nobody really tells stories. Or, I may be wrong because a lot of people weren't there, and that's another thing too. Because if
That's part of the problem.
you have, how do we know that these block parties, like, were that substantial? Like, if it's just in the neighborhood, this guy might have passed through and he
From
said,
those
"Yeah,
that was there.
yeah, yeah, I seen
That's the
it," but
only way you could know from those that
you
was
could
there.
hype it up. It's like we know history can be changed. Like, even give you an example, the
No,
battle,
wait a minute. Wait, what did you just say?
history can be changed.
No, you can't change history.
No, 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 no.
You can lie about
Yeah,
history.
that's what I'm saying.
I like these.
Give thanks.
Because you got, like, what you call it, the Battle of Bunker Hill, right?
Okay.
Everybody heard about the Battle of Bunker Hill, but most people don't realize it didn't take place on Bunker Hill.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? It took place on another hill.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all about that one person seeing it in their perspective, you know. And sometimes we see, and I'm not saying for or against.
It can all be debatable
Mm-hmm.
because I've seen documentaries on DJs that were in Queens
Mm-hmm.
that say hip hop didn't start in the Bronx. We was doing our thing
Mm-hmm.
in Queens. You have DJs in Brooklyn that say we was doing our thing in Brooklyn.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't start there. They was doing their thing over there, and we were doing our thing over here. Because a
Mm-hmm.
lot of time, New York especially is extremely regional.
Mm-hmm.
People stay in their area, and
They used
they
to.
have all of the ingredients that they need right there. So there's no need for you to ever leave.
Yes.
Things
Okay,
change now.
so things have changed, but back then, but the hip hop is only what's agreed upon. I mean, history
Mm-hmm.
is only what facts are agreed upon. That's all history is.
So here's my
So
antithesis.
it's agreed upon
Mm-hmm.
that Cool Herc did that party on Cedric Avenue, and that was when he isolated the breakbeat part
Mm-hmm.
of those old funk and soul records that belonged to your parents. And he isolated that and he kept that part going. And then Coke LaRock was his
First MC.
MC, and he's the first
But
MC with the Yes Yes
that's why I
Dogs.
come in now because they're saying the DJs that inspired, because everybody's inspired to do something.
Mm-hmm.
So they're saying the DJs that inspired him are the original. And a lot of times they're saying that, my opinion, is an agenda base. That they're saying that he wasn't the first hip hop DJ or he wasn't, it's,
He may not have been,
yeah.
but it's agreed upon that he is.
But here's my argument.
It's widely agreed upon that he is. He may not have been.
Here's
I wasn't there.
All right.
You know,
that's the thing. That's where I have an issue, right? And this is why I think it's important that we talk about it. Me and Culture was kind of talking this outside a little bit. How what you say, is so much more important to write something because what you say can be changed in a sense. Or as soon as the words you say come out your mouth, they're gone.
yeah,
They go into the ear,
yeah,
and then they can be interpreted by your tone,
yeah.
and they're forgotten. But when anytime you write something, you're gonna think twice before you write it.
Anytime you write anything, you ground a divine thought that you
But you
had in
think
your
twice.
ethers, and you bring that down from the heavens of
Yes,
your brain
Mm-hmm.
that you
yes,
got from a divine thought, and you ground it.
yes. And when you put that down, you think twice about what you put down to make sure it came from what your thoughts were.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's a brand new level of committal when you write.
And even now,
And
sorry. Go ahead.
and we ain't writing. And there's debate about who created it, who didn't create it. It's around this time, and I was there, and this was happening. But Queens said this, but Brooklyn said that. You know what I mean? And
Mm-hmm.
Long Island said that.
Mm-hmm.
And because we ain't documenting our stuff,
But
we don't we don't
African
we don't
cultures,
really know when. I don't even go by that because we did write.
you have to go by
We
that.
did fables.
We
No, no,
did
no.
we did oral
We got
history.
hieroglyphics.
We did oral
Do we have
history as
hieroglyphics?
well. Absolutely.
Okay, so we did write.
Of course.
We did write,
But the
and it
writing,
and you
if you
can't
want to talk about
say.
Meta Nature,
But hold on, we
everybody
did.
didn't have the access to that Meta Nature.
Not everybody, but we
But go
can't
ahead.
just
That's what I was gonna say.
say,
and there's a
well,
third part to this too.
yeah, but we can't just say, okay, this is what we did in Africa. Like, th- who was saying that Africa would have never evolved to write more? And we not in Africa no more. We in the US, right? We in 2024. And if it was hip hop was created at the times in the
Mm-hmm.
70s when hip hop was created,
Mm-hmm.
there was still systems in place for documenting in writing what existed. And we need to start taking part in
I agree. I agree.
okay, I
But
mean,
but
all right,
books are,
okay,
books are written.
books are written, but not just books. We need the official documentation where things are done, like in the patent and trade office.
what is it?
Because because this is a trademark thing, and we're at a point where a lot of the original creators. The reason why you struck me with this because you're starting to talk about DJing techniques and stuff like that, and we need to put the original creators of this culture. They all exist. We can't change the fact that there's ambiguities about when things were created, um, but we can start to establish the standards of it, and we can start putting it on government documentation so that it is firm and from people that are alive,
KRS
because
One
people
does a lot of work.
are dying right now.
But see,
KRS One
there's
does a lot
there's
of work.
another
It needs to be, because I could say this: if it was really 50 years, right? We were in a pandemic for 3 years, right? We were in semi quarantine. We were in quarantine and then semi quarantine for 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
And if we knew 50 years was coming up, we'd have been talking about it for the last 5 years. We'd have been planning the biggest shows. That's one of my biggest antithesis of this. Like, what we've had over the last so-called year
Mm.
of this 50th was these little spotty, sporadic events. Ain't no way. Ain't no way nobody knew the 50 year was coming. Somebody said, "Oh, snap. Let's call it 50 years.
Mm-hmm.
Let's start spurring this up."
Well, I mean,
But
I have to agree with you. Like, I'm not totally in a disagreement with you
yeah,
because my thing is like, what was it for me?
right.
Because I was too young to go to the parties. I
Mm.
was too young. I was still on my mother's front porch
I was too a little
till
bit.
I was 15. Then I could go out,
Yeah.
right? So they said 50 years, and I was like, oh, okay. But I don't see 50, I don't see those MCs
Yeah. Yeah.
that was back there at the inception of the 50 years.
Because my argument
I
is
see dudes from 85 and 86
yes.
from Def Jam
because
Yes.
that's
and
the
Cold
prominence.
Chillin'.
Yeah.
That's the prominence.
But
Yeah,
somebody's
but
going back
if
and
you
saying
talking about 50 years, you can't start in 85.
you got to go to 73.
Yeah.
You gotta go to the original
But see,
dudes
I
that
was gonna
need
say,
their props that did not get them.
No, you
well,
going no, you
this
going back to the
Well,
original.
then you're not trying to really
this was the
codify.
thing.
You're not really trying to codify
This is the thing.
everything.
This is
You
the thing.
trying to go by what you remember,
But
and that was
but I'm
85,
gonna give you
86,
give
87,
you
Well,
and
example.
that's not when it was.
but you know what they're doing is
Mm.
they're going back and they're saying, I mean, they're saying, "Oh shit, I want 50 years. Let's go back and pick out songs and label it hip hop." But we wasn't doing music in that hip hop ish cultural way in 73. Now you could go back and we wasn't even calling it rap. But you can go back and say, "You know what? This sounds a lot like what we was doing."
I
So
think it was always called rap. It was always called rap. It was always called rap. There was always
mm,
rappers and there was
now
always MC.
I'm gonna
There was
say I
always
was old enough.
hold on
Okay.
before you even had MCs, before you even had rappers. This is fact. It was the DJs first. The DJs were first.
Okay, when was that?
This was the early. This was
I
mid.
need an exact, because 50 is
Well,
an
do your
exact number.
homework. Do your homework.
No man, we're
But
there. We're here right now.
in the mid 70s, mid to ongoing 70s, it was the DJs.
But we need an exact number because 50 is an exact
Well,
number.
I got another thing to point out too. The
I don't think
guys
we need an exact
who
number.
brought it into
I
prominence.
don't think we need an exact
This
number
is
because you can't pinpoint it to an exact location. You
Mm.
can't pinpoint it to an exact person. When culture happens, it happens.
but this is another
So
thing
50
too.
then that 50 doesn't exist then.
We're
It
trying
doesn't have to. It just all we know is it's here. And we
true.
need to treat it the way that it needs to be treated since it's here. We need to cherish it and cultivate it since it's here.
And
We don't have to nitpick on who started it, when, what part did the needle
That's
drop. We don't have to
but
do all that.
that's what I agree with because now what
I
happens
kind of
is
agree, but how do we
the,
celebrate
the,
milestones
the
then?
guys who brought it into
Milestones
prominence,
are there.
the guys who brought it into prominence, they're now getting disrespected. This is a statement that most people don't think because the people who brought it into prominence, you got to give respect to the people who may have taught those people, but they were the ones that take it to the next level.
Hmm.
Just like Bruce Lee.
Mm-hmm.
Most people don't know all the martial arts people that went back, but they know the people who were able to choreograph it on the television shows
Mm-hmm.
and to bring it as a product. You know, they're what I feel is now they're trying to shun those guys who brought it to the forefront for those guys who may not have been able to, you respect each level of that, but the
Mm-hmm.
guys who are able to take it to the big stage. It's just like the underground rappers compared to the high level rappers.
Mm-hmm.
You may favor them, but we know that just like professional athletes, they're
Mm-hmm.
able to take it to that high level and to able to create a product.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I'm saying is with the complete DJ, the complete MC, when they took it to a product, that's why they're only focusing on the 80s. When they were able to take it to a
That was
marketable,
when it burst. That was
a
when it popped
marketable
off. Yeah.
product,
Yeah.
whether outside industries or corporations took it, it was only when it was mastered as a marketable product.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why a lot of times they say, well, why Cool Herc? Why Grandmaster Flash? Why? Because they were able to market it to make a marketable, there were other people, that were
You
able,
talking about Sugar Hill Records, right?
yeah,
First.
yeah, Curtis Blow and all
We
those guys, they
talking,
were
we
able to,
talking, we talking Sylvia Rome. We talking my dude who had Enjoy Records.
hmm
Cause Enjoy Records you had like Spoonie G.
yes,
You know what I'm saying? You had a lot of you had a lot you had a lot of guys that were talented that didn't make it to that big light, that big stage.
but
You know what I'm
but
saying?
see, that's
It's
going
but
into,
it's platforms. You got the dude on the street
yeah,
that's nice as this guy up here, but he don't get that exposure
but
because
these guys
he on the street level.
these
You know
guys
what
were
I'm
these
saying?
guys were structured. Even like seeing me having a chance to work with some artists, right? Some artists could sing very good, but then you got to work on having your set of songs that you're going to present. You're going to do a 30-minute show, or you can only do a 15-minute show.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? That guy, he might be very nice, but he can only do like a 5-minute show.
You don't have that stage
He don't have that
presentation.
stage presence, that
Right.
structure. He was able to do it.
Right.
He may have talked to other people, but that other
Right.
person, the younger generation, took it onto a marketable level where people could consume it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? At its raw essence, it might not be ready.
The early dudes had a lot of stage presentation.
hmm
We used to do a thing when I was MCing. We were aware of something called harmonizing. This is the way we harmonize. This is the way we harmonize. Do 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 do. And da 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 da. You know, and then dudes start passing the mic around,
Uh-huh.
back and forth and keeping the beat because they had their routines and they rehearsed their routines.
Well, that's the reason why every
But we talking about guys like Flash.
but
We
every
talking about the
BET
Furious
show,
Five
every award show, the best performances are always the older artists.
because they already know.
They know how
They
to
already
perform.
knew how to do
The
the
new
joint
artists don't perform.
because they were okay. So
They just come
who
out
were the
and drop.
early groups looking
And I ain't
that was
knocking
on that
them.
high stage? I ain't saying you
Yeah,
are.
yeah, but I have to say that.
Guys that were on that stage,
hmm
who were they looking at? They had nobody else in front of them.
hmm
So who was out there? Funk music, which you
hmm
don't hear no more. I grew up on funk music.
Yeah.
I grew up on soul music. That's another conversation. I remember when funk was here and hip hop was here and disco was in the middle somewhere. It was like, oh snap. I knew as a 12-year-old child, as a 13-year-old child, I knew I was in a special era of
hmm
time. I knew it. I
Mm.
said, this is new. This is fresh. It's ours.
hmm
It's unprecedented. Hasn't been done. You can walk home from school. Guys got the cardboard out. They battling with they breaking. Dudes is on the corner. They beatboxing and they rapping and so on and so forth. And we walking through them like the crew that we are. Y'all keep practicing. Y'all keep practicing. You know what I mean?
hmm
And we was like doing what we was doing. You know what I mean? Like I remember seeing like Chuck D and them, man. They weren't even Public Enemy yet. Certain stuff, it was just special to be there. They was the Spectrum crew. I remember it's like, yo, you like, damn, you knew it was gonna do something. You knew it was gonna be something. You could feel it in the
hmm
universe. It was ill. You know what I'm saying? You don't know what it's gonna do, but you know it's gonna do something because it was unprecedented and it wasn't here a couple years ago. I didn't see it. It wasn't. It did not exist. So it's like, yo, that special energy, yo. There's nothing freaking like it. There's nothing like it. I remember. You know what I mean? Harmonizing in routines. That's what they were doing,
Mm-hmm.
and they were working. That's why you had Flash in them with the crazy outfits and stuff because hip hop hadn't been and took Run DMC to come through with the walk this way to try to quantify the gear, even though hip hop already the breakers already had it. How you know it was a breaker? Because he had his shoestrings tied up his leg.
Mm-hmm.
He had his shoestring tied up his pants. So when he do his windmills and stuff, his pants legs don't get in the way of his movements. And you knew who they had the white gloves, and you could see their hands, and you can see the stuff that they do. You know what I mean? On some pantomiming, on some miming type
It's
stuff.
essentially that was it was
That
it
was
was another level of pantomime.
yeah,
Popping.
popping.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
I've worn them when I
man,
was in yeah.
like so they had to it had to hip hop had to define itself. And to a degree it still has to because what we see now is not hip hop. I see toxic music being fed to us, to our children.
Well, it's because we don't own it.
That's what I say. Yeah. We
That,
haven't owned it for a long time.
but that's the whole point I'm making
We
is
haven't owned it for a long time.
we've never owned it. Like, well, I guess we owned it when we was creating it, but we don't. You never own nothing until you write it
We didn't
down.
have the organizing. We didn't have the
Right.
Well, see,
organizing
that's
factor.
what even with a lot of these debates, people don't realize there's so much division, because people the ego comes in and most people just want to win an argument.
Yeah.
Right.
Or most
And
people
I'm not
they
of that
have an
energy.
Yeah.
agenda base where, it's always a division. Like if you look at it, like you said, from the boroughs to the different nationalities that we have now, to the East Coast, West Coast, to the East Coast, West Coast, Dirty South division. So I don't think you said the State of the Union is not united.
It's
Everybody's
weak.
looking to tear everybody else's form of the art or contributions down.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it's agenda based. And then the biggest problem is you have a lot of people who are on the outside. They can even go and they can interview some of the other ones, but they're directing them to say it this way or say it that way. You can do wordplay and do an interview and make it look as if this, this and that wasn't there, this and that wasn't there, and this was greater than that, just by how you hype it up. So we're changing, and even if you're going to do that, what is the purpose? Because it's not even contributing to hip hop. It's actually, to me, it's destroying it.
Well, unity, right? We in the second day of Kwanzaa. First day of Kwanzaa is Umoja, which is unity, and that's why it's first because
Habari Gani.
Barigani Kuji Chagalia today.
Uh,
Yesterday was Umoja. Tomorrow will be Ujima, and next day will be Ujama. Tomorrow is Ujima, and that's my daughter's born day.
and you know what? Not I don't mean to cut you off, but I can't argue with her on that because it's written. It's documented in specificity.
But are we unified in it?
We
Do
are.
everybody keep the principles of Kwanzaa?
Everybody may or may not keep the principles of Kwanzaa,
It's quantified. It's
but
there.
but Kwanzaa is established in writing and in specificity. So
Right.
we know exactly what
Okay,
Kwanzaa is.
so it's there.
So documentation,
It's there.
well, I'm just saying,
What
like, so
sense is
going,
it being there if we don't keep it?
well, it's kept when it's there, but when you document and you document in specificity, you minimize argument.
Hmm.
So there's no argument.
So there's no excuse.
I don't
There's
know if
no excuse
there's no excuse as
because
well,
if
but
we
when we talking
if we
about
want to
what
have unity, we should be practicing those principles.
we could, but at the very least, before you even get to it, you can't have unity without specificity and without documentation.
Unity is agreement.
Yeah, but you can't anytime you have non-specific, you have argument. When you have
Unity is
argument,
agreement.
right. When you have argument, you don't have agreement. If you don't have agreement, you don't have a unity. So you gotta have documentation and you gotta have specificity. And we don't have specificity in hip hop. Everybody, well, we don't. It was around this time, and it was the, and I think while we have the last few of the
I
legends,
just think we don't have
hold on,
the.
hold on.
I'm sorry.
But while we have a few of the legends still alive,
Hmm.
because we losing people fast,
Hmm.
we're losing people fast post COVID, and just we 60s. Some of our legends are in the 60s.
Hmm.
They need to, it can't be just KRS-One. He wasn't the only one that was hip hop.
Hmm.
You know, you got to sit down with everyone and deal with the arguments. There's going to be arguments at that table,
Yes.
you know, and establish, all right, let's just say we don't know. Like, don't them people need to get together and say, all right, we don't know this, we don't that. We do know it was
You said hash the whole thing out. Everybody
hash the
hash it out,
whole thing out
and we're gonna
so
we're
we
gonna
could have
create
it
an
documented
authority.
from here on in
We're gonna create an authoritative body
and put it in what
that's
is it?
gonna govern. That's
Right.
gonna govern everything hip hop.
And put it
But
in,
it's too
not,
late.
not,
It's
no,
already
no,
around
no,
the
it's never
world.
too late because
It's
what you're
already
doing,
it's already
no,
worldwide.
no, 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 it's not too late because what you're doing, everything is work. If it's worth having, then it's worth working hard for.
Hmm.
And if it's worth working hard for, it's worth having. So, like, before it goes any further, let's say it is 50 years. Well, then we need to get together and compile this the ambiguity stage. We need to take that ambiguity stage and minimize it. All right, it happened around here, and put it in. Once it's all finalized between this panel group, it needs to be in the government archives. The government has like a, I forget the name of the department, but it's like the
Hmm.
archive
Hmm.
department of the government. That is an established place that keeps archives and is recognized around the world. And
I wonder if
therefore,
something is like that though. Like I wonder if something is archived like that. And I'll I'll look and see.
let a let a let a
I'll look and
Well,
see.
this will
let a
be
let a
harsh.
listener
Huh?
comment.
This will be harsh.
Let a listener comment.
Whether it was
If
50 years or not,
Hmm.
it didn't get good to a certain point. People have to be honest.
That's debatable.
It wasn't.
That's debatable.
It wasn't
well,
like
good is always going to be debatable.
most people's most prominent, because now we have a lot of people under 30. It don't matter. You weren't there. You know what I'm saying? When people just say, "What is your most vivid hip hop memory?"
That's part of the reason why
You know,
there's a lack of
it's not going to be in the
respect.
'70s for most people.
Well, I don't. I shouldn't say disrespect. This is.
But it
Let's
still doesn't mean it wasn't good
but the
for
reason
those
why,
people that was there.
yeah.
Yeah, no, those people. But you got to think about it now. The majority, as the world goes, right? And most people don't think about this. In the '70s,
Hmm.
the population was half. There was only what 4 million, 4 billion people. Now it's 8 billion people. So now you have a whole generation that wasn't even born in the '70s.
But
Right.
here again,
Hmm
More is not better.
there's a dissension between
More
the
is not better.
No,
right.
I understand what you're saying now, to the point where
Quantity is not
it's
greater.
like because and I'm not just because I like a lot of the old music, but most of the music you're thinking about from the '70s.
But I find this is what I find when I play the
Hmm
older joints. I'm getting the most of the enjoyment out of it, right?
Hmm.
Because that was my era.
Yeah,
But
you
but
always gonna get the
Cats
most
that
enjoyment
wasn't
out of your
there,
era.
mhm.
but I'm saying it was great for me then.
Hmm.
It was great for me then.
And I'm not saying it because I like Curtis Blow and all that, but most of his big tunes was coming in what years? The '80s, right?
Ah, let me see. Hold on. Wait a minute. I remember going to a party, and these are the breaks. That was late 70s.
Okay,
I was in a basement
definitely
party.
a good song. Because
These
I'm
are the
a big
breaks.
fan of
And if
Curtis
I'm
Blow.
not mistaken, that's might be his first big breakout song.
Hmm
And that was late 70s,
Okay,
79, 80. And why I say that? Because that's when I was in ninth
so
grade,
so now
79, 80.
that's what I'm saying. That's when you said the late '70s is when it got good, right? That's what I'm saying. Like, so what would people remember from the beginnings of it? And I'm not saying when it was created.
Most
So
people wasn't, most like you said, most people weren't alive.
when it came to the forefront, when it was
Most people
marketable.
listen to hip hop music and don't know the history of it.
Hmm
Most people listen to funk music and don't know the history of it.
So when most people go back to the '70s, that's what
All you know is
funk,
today.
funk and disco. But when you think about the '70s, you're thinking about funk and disco. So that's what I was saying. A lot of those DJs it was like maybe a little segment where they got, you know, that little section, that little segment of funk and disco that became hip hop. You know what I'm saying? But it wasn't really. It's like a, you know, it wasn't really completely there.
And you know what?
It wasn't
You
fleshed
know
out.
what that makes me think of?
But that's good. I mean, that's the beginning of
You
anything.
can establish the beginning.
That's the beginning of
Since we don't
anything.
really know the beginning, we could establish it like with a historian or an archivist, I think you call it. Like they can sit
Archive.
archivists, they can sit down with X amount of people that are from that time and hear all these arguments about what I saw and you know what I mean? And then they could come to an agreement and say, we had such and such a panel and determined that this was the start of hip hop
Mhm.
at this place at this time, and they continue to, you know what I mean, write it because you were talking about how the younger generation this and that.
Mhm.
A part of the reason is because there's
They
nothing
don't know the
there's
foundation.
nothing established.
They don't know the foundation.
We if you ain't solid, like it's like between you and your parents. I mean, you and your wife. Like if y'all ain't solid on what's the rules, your kid ain't gonna respect you. They ain't gonna respect the unity, the union of the parenthood. They're gonna say, Dad, I want such and such. No, I don't know. Mom, I want such and such. Yeah. Okay. So now they know I could play that game because it's okay with dad or not okay with dad, but it's okay with mom or dad don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you
So
gotta have order in
there's
your
no
house. You
foundation.
gotta have order in your house.
There's no union. There's no specificity. There's no boom.
Question. All right, let's think about this. Jeet Kune Do. Bruce Lee is the founder of that, right?
It wasn't. It didn't exist prior to he invented it.
All right, but there was something similar that he based his
The
style and
foundation was what?
technique.
Wing Chun.
Yeah. So he based it off of that.
Hmm.
You see what I'm saying? That's where I'm going with a
He
lot of
grabbed
these.
something older.
That's where I'm going with a lot of these DJs now. Were they actually hip hop DJs?
They grasped from older.
He grasped from something, but it wasn't hip hop that he
No, it
grasped.
wasn't. You
Yeah.
grasped from funk music. You grasped from music in the
Disco. Yeah.
'60s. You grasped from music in the '60s, like
Yeah.
the hand claps on, like for if anybody want to reference anything, go get the Kid Capri 52 beats,
Mm-hmm.
right? Well, the hip hop started with the break beats.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it started with.
All right.
Those was records that was even before the '70s. A lot of them joints was in the '60s
Mm-hmm.
and in the early '70s. A lot of them was obscure.
Mm-hmm.
But the only usefulness we found with it was that break, that one little part
Mm-hmm. Where
that you
everybody.
that you that you basically looped.
Yeah.
You just
The
looped it,
fun part.
but you used two turntables
Yeah.
because we ain't had the
The,
looping
the
machine yet.
Now that's what I said. The fun part. Now those are, you know, that's what I'm saying. A lot of those, if people were to get in a time machine, which we know is physically impossible, and they went back to these times where they said this block party, that block party, would it have been what they said? Because you know we are oral and it's storytellings, but sometimes, you know, I agree with him, numbers and facts. It might have been 50 people there, and he would say, "Oh man, it was this and that." I'm
Right,
like, I know it was more than 50 people at
right.
a lot of these block
The
parties,
memory is not, you
but
know what I'm
sometimes
saying,
you
as accurate as you
exaggerate that.
think.
It's like, whoa,
The
it was
memory is
so.
not as accurate as you think it is. I agree.
So you know, when you love this guy, of course you're gonna hype it up,
Yeah.
man. He from my block, man. So yeah, I'm gonna hype it up.
Every detail can't be, you know, exact, but what should be exact is the dates. At
Well,
least, at the very
I'm gonna
least,
tell
the
you what's important to
years.
me. I'm gonna tell you what's important to me. What's most important to me is my experience.
There's no I in team.
What's most important, because I didn't know you then. I didn't know you then.
Facts.
I was tried in that mission by myself
Yeah,
and those that were with me.
right.
So that's really all I can speak to any varying degree of authority on, because I don't remember everything. I don't remember every party I went to. We was smoking reefer.
I,
Right.
I gotta
You know
give
what I'm saying? So I don't remember every detail.
Yeah, but we don't have to.
I wasn't chronological chronicling
Right, but
those
that's.
things like for future reference.
I think
I was
that's the
in the
issue
moment.
though, because that's what keeps us,
I was
with
just in
all
the
due
moment.
respect, I think that's what keeps us from thinking like a uh as a whole, as a culture, because a lot of times our way out, not necessarily you all the time, but our way out of a thing is a disagreement is me. Like it's well for me, but even though you
That's all I can speak from authoritatively.
even though you can only
Authoritatively.
speak about what happened, you can frame yourself. We can frame ourselves as a group and try to put pieces together
My
and
truth would
say
have to be your truth,
it
and
not
you have
necessarily,
to
it don't have to
accept it.
be a truth because you can find fact
Fact.
within stories. You know what I mean? So like that goes back to what you saying, my truth, your truth. It's not a truth, it's a story, it's a perspective, right? But within a perspective, we could find facts. You know what I mean? But we use the word your truth and my truth. But truth is not subjective. Truth is truth. Whether you like two plus two is four always, you know, um, hot burns. You know what I mean? It burns everybody. You know what I'm saying? So, but there's some subjectivity to that. But I'm just saying, like, things that we are fact are fact.
Mm.
You know what I mean? So it's the way out to
So
say,
you gonna do that work?
huh?
You gonna do that work?
It's not a you thing, right? It's like it's not an
Me?
I in team. You know what
Who
I
gonna
mean?
do the work?
It needs to be done.
Mm. It
It
needs to
needs to
be
be
done.
done, but it's not a who. Again, it's a well, who can
Then
be
it's just a
multiple?
conversation.
It's a group.
It's just a conversation.
Not necessarily. It's not to chop down like what I'm saying. The conversation being heard possibly would spark. That was my hope. The conversation would spark the movement,
Okay,
the effort. Like,
that's
all
cool.
right, if KRS want to hear this, if you are the so-called, like, you want to take hip hop as you want to be the owner of it, you want to say that I am hip hop, I am the one who's keeping all of this, all of that, then yeah, then maybe KRS, you should take the
I
initiative.
don't think he came up with it though. I think who
Came
came
up
up
with what?
with the whole concept of 50 years because
I don't know who did, but I'm just saying, like,
I don't think he
he
did.
is he's always claiming to be like
I am
the
hip hop.
voice
I
of
mean,
hip hop. I am hip
he
hop,
has things established. He has his temple of hip
right?
hop,
But you
and I'm
can't
not trying to
but you
reference.
can't make it
Hold
about
on.
him.
I'm not trying to. I'm not trying to reference him
Not
like.
saying you are.
No, I'm just saying.
Mhm.
I'm saying the work that he's done beyond
I
conversation.
know he's done some
He has done things that are
archiving
tangible,
things. Yeah, a library or
that are
something.
factual. He have a hip hop Bible,
Yeah.
and he has the temple of hip hop with however that functions. I'm not familiar with how it
And
functions
did that, so my question, what are those things? Did he do it in a box?
in a box. What you
In
mean?
other words, did he just do it on his own? Did he talk to other artists and say, "Is this how you
Well,
remember it too?"
he's connected with um
He's connected, but did he do it?
he's connected with Bambaataa Zulu Nation. Bambaataa is one of the agreed upon pillars of hip hop, along with Kool Herc, along with Grandmaster Flash, and whomever else.
Hmm.
He's agreed upon
Yeah.
with the Zulu Nation and all of that. Red Alert being a part of that Zulu Nation who went out into and got involved with the music and got involved with the radio, got involved and had Chuck Chill Out on the radio promoting that
so
Bronx,
it's definitely
that
to
Bronx.
all of it.
He's connected to a foundational part of that, so he can lay hold of that tangibly. And then again, he has made strides beyond conversation.
Hmm.
So there are things that he has done. Now you could take what he's done and compare that to someone else who has also put forth some tangible works and someone else, and then perhaps combine those elements of what's extrapolated from all of those, combine them
Yeah.
and agree upon it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that's the only reason why I say him, because I know that that's what he's done.
Well,
Yeah. Of course, he's probably done the
there's
most
no other music worrying about how many years, hear classical music say we're
I'm
gonna
not
rock
worrying
for
about
100 years.
it.
And I think maybe the debate
because
possibly
the
came up
music's
because they
are.
said it will never last, when it's been there a certain age, so they might have just threw a number on it.
I bet you can find books that have specificity about when those things started,
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
and
But
that's why you don't hear no arguments.
it's not really, it's I don't think they have ego inside of it either. A lot of those
They
art
don't.
forms, they don't have the ego.
You can't. You can't because the ego would try to own. The ego would try to denote ownership. You know what I'm saying? That's what the ego
And
does.
that's what hip hop is going through now. Who's the first that started it up?
Yeah,
You
and
know
it's really a moot conversation. I'm just here and glad to say that I was born
what
and during my
I
lifetime,
contributed to it, whether you could even just
my
say as a
small
Yeah,
my
spectator or a
smallest
fan.
it
my
was a beautiful
smallest
thing.
contribution. I'm really honestly, y'all, I'm just thankful for
Yeah,
that.
it's
You
dope
know what I'm saying?
knowing
I'm
that.
thankful that I was here to appreciate the joint,
Yeah,
to see it before it got here, to see that baby get born
yeah.
and to watch it grow, even though what it is what it is now, but not for me because I don't listen to that.
Hmm.
I adhere to what appeals and resonate with me in my hip hop chamber. You know what I'm saying? So
See,
my whatever resonate, if I can resonate with you, we gonna build. If I can resonate with you, we gonna build. If you like, I mean, I'm not gonna say no name, but somebody that's out here now that I don't listen to, I'm be like, you can get that. You can go hard.
So you want to debate on something. So me and you probably would agree on this. Is
hey,
it
that was
is
a
it
song in
is it
in
any
Eddie
longer
Murphy's movie Trading
hip
Places.
hop that's on the forefront? Because once hip hop grew from disco and funk,
Mm,
it was no longer disco and funk.
right,
To me, I don't consider most of the genres out there today hip hop. I'm not just saying hip hop is just boom bap,
right.
but you know, hip hop was party music and it had certain elements.
Mm-hmm.
Today, I don't consider some of the stuff that they call hip hop. My opinion,
Right,
hip hop.
right.
It needs a new name.
Check out the 52 Beats, man. Kid Capri, man. Shout out to 52
Well,
Beats.
we didn't even go into reggae, but that's a whole nother conversation because they're creating new names for their music, and we are creating new names because now we have trap music, but
Trap, drill.
drill.
You can just call it a sub form of hip hop, but I think they should just detach it. Like
You got mumble.
hip hop was never a sub form of
I
funk,
don't
was
know
it?
if mumble really a part of
Hip hop is
hip
its
hop,
own
or is that
beast.
a criticism from generations prior to the
I
current
honestly don't know.
Well,
mumble rap?
it's
I don't think
debatable again.
I don't think I don't think the current generation calls their music mumble rap. I think that was a criticism
Somebody on the outside.
from
So
out, not on the
that's
outside,
just like somebody on the outside
not
of
on the
hip hop.
outside,
That's just like somebody
from our generation.
call it mumble.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's just like somebody on the outside of that call gangster rap gangster rap. We never called it gangster rap.
Well,
It's a marketing term.
We just
that's going back to the
somebody
previous
created that.
conversation we had about what was the conversation we had in the last
NWA.
episode? No. Woke,
Whoa.
when she studied woke. Remember that we talked about
Mm-hmm.
that? It's
Yeah.
kind of a similar thing.
Mm.
Like
Hmm.
you on the outside using a word that's not from your culture.
Right.
Mm.
But now
But the
we
difference
we
is,
talking about what hip hop has done and how it has grown, but we haven't talked about the corporate involvement.
Mhm.
but you know, this is
Corporate
going. You
corporate
giving me more
corporate
fire.
corporate involvement
You giving more
is
fuel for my fire.
okay. Corporate involvement is the ones who was on the outside of the genre, so to speak, and started coming in and making
Right.
determinations.
That's fuel. That's fueling my
You know what I'm
antithesis.
saying? But I
That
mean,
that's why we have to document.
you
We got to
couldn't
be
it
specific.
it couldn't blow up without that.
That's not true.
It couldn't blow up because we didn't have the machine to push it out there. We ourselves, we
Many
didn't have it.
we didn't have it, but that's because we are so against government. But government, you got to know how to use government. It's called
You mean
loans.
organizations or
It's called, well, organization loans. Like there's money. That's how most of these businesses blow up, by getting money from
But
the
you couldn't
government.
organize the art form itself,
Yeah,
though.
you saying we didn't have the equipment. You can get the money.
we
You
didn't
think
have the
like
machine?
businesses that
We
get
didn't have the
started,
machine to blow it up
they get
worldwide.
loans. They get loans.
That had to come, man. All that had to come in time.
You buy those
But even
things.
even like
You
right
buy
now,
those things with loans.
debatable thing. Like you said, the Zulu Nation was organizing it. As far as governing it, not to the level of what you're saying. But a lot of people are fighting that. Oh, they didn't start it or this or that because it becomes ego. Because now you hear some people say, "Well, hip hop didn't start in New York," and you look, where did it start at? And
Right.
like you said, bring some documentation, bring some proof, bring
Yeah,
some type
because
of evidence.
in this day and age with social media, everything is fake. Like
Mhm.
if you don't get stuff established now, you can't hold any truth. Because like you said, now somebody want to say that hip hop didn't start in New York.
Yeah,
Like you can if you know how to get somebody stirred up, you can start any trend. You know what I mean? So now you want to get people thinking that it didn't start in New York. You know what I mean?
Reggae didn't
And
start in Jamaica.
by the time we die, you can create any lie now. Be-
Eminem's the greatest MC. Do you agree to that?
that's completely
it's completely
subjective.
Hold on.
subjective. Yeah,
Okay, but somebody's out here saying that.
Somebody's saying
yeah.
that, and they have every right to say
I
that.
don't agree.
But you can't
I don't
call
agree
anybody the
because
greatest.
I can go back and get rappers that I think are equivalent
Yeah.
or better than him.
Well, I'm gonna make people mad, and I'm gonna say the only reason why people like if he wasn't white, would you be saying he was the greatest rapper? You know what I mean?
Welcome to America.
And if he always was white, but he never got signed by
Dr. J.
Dr. Dre, would he even be so called the greatest rapper? Would that be the opinion? You know what I mean? I'd argue that, if and I may be biased because of where I'm from, but if Keith Murray was with a different label, a different production crew, he might have been considered one of the greatest. You know what I
Keith
mean?
Murray was hot at that
He
time.
was out at that
Yeah,
time,
he
Yeah,
well,
So who you with matters. I mean, Dre. He was a super
but see,
producer,
that's
not taking nothing from Eric Sermon and them, but
that's why I say
you know,
marketability. Marketability is the people who put it to the forefront. You know,
that's that machine.
and I can say I don't agree he's the greatest rapper, but I because he used certain things to market himself, it's
I don't
skin
think
color.
there's any such thing as the greatest
I
rapper.
don't I don't think
I
so
don't
either.
disagree with that
I
either.
I
Even
do
you're
agree with you because the greatest in an art form, you can't say that.
it's subjective
Something
too.
where people don't want to be specific,
Hmm.
right? If you're not going to be specific about standards, nothing can be the greatest.
Because
You can't
most
have.
people, I used to have this argument, or even if you want to, say for better terms, debate. A lot of cats used to say Eminem is the greatest rapper. All right, let's not even focus on that. You, as a Puerto Rican from Harlem, do you relate to him? You, as a black guy from Detroit, do you relate to him? He's from Detroit, but do you relate to his subject matter?
Right,
Not saying I'm not taking nothing away from his skill.
right.
You know what I'm
His
saying?
subject, his
Because
content.
your content back in the day, we used to listen. We would gravitate, like you said, KRS One or Rakim.
Hmm.
You gravitate to those that interest you.
Hmm.
It's not taking away. It could be a gospel rapper who's great, but you may not be into gospel music.
You know what
Hmm.
I think?
What's that?
I think subconsciously people don't know that they're just fascinated with the idea that somebody that didn't come from the culture, that looks totally different, is doing what we do, and he's doing it very
Well, that
well.
that becomes one of those things, and
And that's what they
and this
gravitate
is no
to.
disrespect to David Roddigan.
Right. I was
You
going to
know, and
say
the
reggae
truth
is
was
the
said
parallel.
that everybody started bashing him because you know David Roddigan becomes like this. I hate to say this. I'm not trying to dis a character. Same thing with Mighty Crown. It's almost like we love to see that quote unquote underdog because we feel like the underdog sometimes. So we kind of
It validates what we're doing.
yeah.
We like to see other race of people validate
We get
what
so
we do.
yeah, we get
Like,
so
and
mesmerized
I
with it.
get that, but then you can't get caught up with that, like, because more you are smiling and enjoying the fact that they're doing what you're doing, they still in it.
Mhm.
I don't even think they're stealing it.
What
I think, and when you look at all three of them that we mentioned, Eminem, David Rodigan,
Mighty
Mighty
Crown?
Crown, they are very detailed and specific, and they have an authentic love for the cultures that they're part of. So they are,
Bobby Condas,
huh?
Bobby Condas also.
Yeah, Bobby Condas. Yeah, true.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
They do
But
have
I
the
just
love
I
they
for him.
just
do.
threw him in there.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Okay. But he didn't grow. He didn't become a pillar like Rodigan
I don't
and
know.
Mighty
I don't know.
Crown.
Okay.
He's good.
Okay.
I ain't taking nothing from him, but like
I knew
Rodigan,
about him before I knew about Roddy.
That's what I
yeah.
said, debatable
But
because he was
Rodigan's
on
been
he was on
around,
Hot
But he
97.
but he's been around long. But the people who deep dived into the culture and really, really wanted to learn it in its all of its specificity, way more than we are specific. And people don't understand. Like detail and specifics does make you look like a master of something. And we like to be ambiguous and flow. So you just got somebody white or Japanese, and Japanese are very detailed, very detailed. Mighty Crown, they got some crazy detailed dubs. They got some crazy dub mixes, very sharp sound. Man, like they inspired me when I heard them. And I didn't care that they was Japanese. I mean, yeah, it blew me away, but yo, their dubs was because I was in love with Bass Odyssey, you know, the idea of Bass Odyssey, where they move with Squingy, they were my first, like, they got me hyped after Stone Love. I was Stone Love, then I was Bass Odyssey, then I was Mighty Crown. But Eminem, Eminem, all three of them, they're way detailed into how they do what they do. And that's what makes you look so good at anything you do. When you're really detailed, you know what I mean?
okay. Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm gonna just say, in my
No,
opinion,
that's fine.
you
I
know,
mean, yeah. I just in regards to Eminem, like I like lyricism. I even like complex lyricism, even to the point where I might not even understand what you're talking about.
that's what Keith
And
Murray
the
was.
fact that I don't even understand what you're talking
And
about makes
Buster.
me either just accept the art of what you're doing, or it makes me maybe look up that word that you use that I never heard before. Or, you know what I'm saying, find out the definition of certain things like Ghostface, right? Ghostface was like, I don't care if you don't know what I'm talking about. I'm spitting art. I said, hell yeah, it's abstract.
Hmm.
So it doesn't necessarily have to have a meaning. It just has it's connected to a feeling, and it's on beat, and it's connected to that cadence, and it only belongs to him. Even when you had Action Bronson try to
Mhm.
come out sound like Ghost,
Yeah,
he still can't do Ghost
yeah.
better than Ghost. You know what I'm saying? He can only try to
He was
sound like
inspired
Ghost.
by him, and see,
Imitation is a form of flattery.
It's a lot of
So
people, man.
we can we
You
can
could
we can
you could talk this whole goat thing, like greatest of hip hop, all you want. It's always gonna be debatable.
well, see,
we'll
let's go
be
back
here.
to the
We'll
Keith
be
Murray
here
thing.
forever.
Right.
Let's go back
We'll
to
be here
but
forever.
But
the
hold on,
Keith.
what I'm saying though is it's a lot of, like, even popular artists. You were saying some underground dudes could take him out, but there's modern day known artists that probably would smash Eminem. But
But
people don't say that. Like
can you
nobody,
get
you
better?
never heard Buster, you never heard Eminem step up and say, "Yeah, I'll go with you, Buster." Buster called it out. He said, "Come on, I want to smoke with anybody."
But see, this is
You
this
know
is
what I
the
mean?
thing now. When you say let's just work with black people, I don't think that's Eminem's fault because let's deal with Keith Murray. Keith Murray, even though a lot of people would say, "Oh, people are hating on Eminem," Keith Murray would have more haters because black people are we are very harsh on each other, and we gotta admit we love to tear each other down.
Oh yeah.
Even if you're not even a rapper, we'll love to tear him down. Well, if I could rap, I could rap better than him. Why are you picking on him?
Is hip hop based in that?
Well, he pick on him. If you ain't
Is hip
doing,
hop based in
Ego?
me
Yes.
tearing you down?
Yes, ego.
If I call you a whack MC,
Hmm.
am I assassinating you? Am I attacking you?
But see, then
that's how we doing hip hop though,
Absolutely.
right?
it also has certain consciousness in it as well. It's supposed to have some certain consciousness
It does.
and upliftment,
It does. It
So
does.
I
And then you know,
But honestly, I slid over to reggae.
hmm
Even that's why I don't really know a lot. I don't know a whole lot of hip hop,
hmm
right? I just know what I know, and I know what I like. That's all I'm tuned into.
hmm
I know what I like, and I know what I know. That's all I'm tuned into.
all right,
Because I would spend time over here in Jamaica,
all right.
right? And I be listening to Yellow Man, and I be listening to Super Cat. I be
Sonically in
listening to,
Jamaica.
you know what I'm saying? And I was listening to them early, them Rubber Dub Styles early 81.
Dubstep.
Now I can say 81. I can stamp that year. And that was the year that I got involved.
All right.
And, you know, that's when I started wearing the Clarks.
All right.
All right.
And
And
the
the
diamond
Argyle
socks.
socks. That's right. The diamond socks and the Clarks booty.
Wallaby.
Wallaby. You know what I'm saying? To this day. All right. But I felt a more of a positive spiritual frequency over there. And even then, it was more biblical. It was more referencing the divine, the Jah,
And better like
and the
togetherness,
Africa, and
Saying,
who
unity.
we are inside,
structured elements.
Yeah.
who we are, structured elements,
Being a
like
better people
So now,
with one another,
with one another.
unity.
Unity.
All right,
Einity.
unity amongst I and I,
I.
not you, not me, not you, but all of I and I.
See.
Or who are we is I.
Mm-hmm.
Dope. Those are revolutionary concept. What'd you just say? What'd you just say?
I said
Structured elements.
structured elements. Yeah.
Those are revolutionary elements that have structure and
You know what
firm
else?
you up.
What other
So
structure that
I
still
spend a
exists?
lot of time.
What structure still exists in reggae is the Clash. That's why it's not really a question.
You see,
But hold on, they have world clashes, so there's no question about Mighty Crown standing in their industry.
I got you.
They have
I
won
got you.
numerous times
And that's cool.
the world clash.
That's cool.
And I like that.
But I don't care about all that.
I'm just
so
I'm just
where he's
talking
coming
about.
Honestly, I don't care about all
where
that.
he's
I
coming from with that, like
I know what he's saying.
You know
you
what?
say, and this is not
It's
just
structured and it's documented that Mighty Crown is on top.
when
I
you,
get
when
that.
you say like, and this is like,
But I
I'm
just,
not,
Eminem
I'm not
has
trying to, I'm not trying to bash
people can
Eminem,
argue Eminem
but
forever.
he's not battling. The last time he's battled somebody,
He's not tested.
yeah. So you're not in the ring. It's like you can say Mike Tyson is the greatest boxer, but he's not currently boxing of this time. Like, you're talking about in his day, it might be a point in time where nobody could beat him.
well, that's why that's there.
Mm-hmm.
That's why that poster is there.
Even still, Mike Tyson's been tried and
That
tested.
poster is there because of the argument and the conversation that happens in this barbershop. Who is the best? Who is the
Yeah.
best? And I say, yo, in his time, Ali was the greatest. To me, he is the greatest, but I met him.
But the funny thing,
I met him
yeah,
at 9 years old.
yeah,
I shook his hand.
Mm-hmm.
He gave me his autograph. That was powerful. I hung out with Mike Tyson. You know what I'm saying? One time.
Mm-hmm.
He don't know. Them in their respective eras did their thing.
yeah.
They was the man in their respective era.
Mm-hmm.
People argue who would win and da da da. If you ask Mike Tyson will
He'll
answer.
give it up to Ali.
He will give it up to
Give it
Ali. So
yeah.
who am I to say different?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
no doubt.
Who am I to say different if that man? Because the battle is one in the mind.
The difference in hip hop and these other industries like dance hall and boxing, you can say you're the best, but you still go out there and you get tried and tested and you prove. Hip hop is so ego filled, but you don't step out and get tried publicly in hip hop. We
But that's
did it.
why they
There
do
have
have
been
battle rap.
influences.
They do have battle rap.
There've been
They
some.
used to have the smacks. Didn't they used to have the smacks?
They do. It's called URL now.
Wow, I
Yeah.
forgot about that. But
Yeah. So
it's been little
That
things,
was
a little bit of stuff here and
no,
there.
nah. Smacks been around for a long
I
time.
vaguely remember. I forgot about.
That's when I got on to
I forgot about that.
Remy.
mm-hmm.
I seen her on a smack, and I seen her blaze this one sister.
But
said,
you,
"Yo,
but
she's
you know,
bad."
not everybody really get out there like that. Like when has
No, these were
He talking
videos.
about the,
I know
he,
what
he
you're
talking
talking
about the
about.
industry cats. It rarely does an industry cat.
Yeah,
Because
you don't get. You could say you're the GOAT,
The
but
industry
you don't
puts
get
you
out and
there.
test like
The
Tyson.
industry puts you up there.
yeah.
But that was the difference,
But the
though.
thing is, Tyson could say he's the GOAT. He could argue like boxers. they say they talk big about themselves all day, but then they get out there and they put everything on the line and got to prove what they said. Clash,
In
same
the realm
thing,
of boxing.
huh?
In the realm
In
of
the realm of
boxing.
boxing, Clash. You could talk about I'm great, but then they get out there,
Right.
you know, yeah, I'll kill you. You know what I mean? They
Right.
come, but then you gotta, boom, you gotta put your dubs
See,
out there the right way, and then the people decide.
see the difference in
You
Reggae.
don't do
Roots
that
rock
in hip
reggae
hop.
don't do that though.
You don't do that in hip hop though.
and the thing is for
Roots rock
hip
reggae
hop,
don't brag about who's the best. Sorry.
battle rappers are like boxers. Industry rappers are like mixed martial arts. And most of the time, when you see the mixed martial art people go in against boxers, they normally lose because they're going in a certain dynamic. So you can't use your feet, you can't use the techniques that you know your gimmicks or whatever.
Right.
You know, a lot of industry rappers when they have tried usually lose against the battle rappers. Even you might be hot. Take Cannabis for example. When he went in and he went in against a battle rapper, it's a whole different format. It's a whole different technique. So you might be good in ciphers and stuff like that, or you know those type of battles with beats and you know everybody, but it's a whole different
I'm a
format.
different type of MC.
Yeah.
Yeah. This could go on and
We could
on.
talk
We
this
could talk
forever.
this forever, but
We could
the
talk this forever.
essentially looks like the state of the black union is
Well,
culture said it was weak
I
in so
agree
many
with you. It,
words.
it needs some structure. Like I'm agreeing with you.
Ongoing.
It's
You know,
ongoing.
it's a work in progress.
It's a work in
You
progress.
know, but
Ongoing.
sometimes you need to put some guidelines in it because what is this and what is that? You know, you can't just say this over here is hip hop. We're gonna call this hip hop. You gotta draw the line somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
We don't consider that hip hop.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we consider this hip hop because even you know within that, like you say, even within the year when it was started, what is hip hop nowadays? Because you have so many different forms of hip hop. Like, what do you consider authentic hip hop?
Right.
Mm. So the state of the union
It's ongoing.
is
Well,
ongoing.
I think there's some good, there's a lot of good in it, but
Give
I
us,
agree with you that needs to be more control. You
yeah,
need more creative control over something that you say you own. If you do own it, you want control over it.
That's
You know,
everything.
or did you give it to the world? And then if you gave it as a gift, you can't be mad when people do something different with
You
it.
can't be mad. So
So
can we
that's
create something? Can we create something else?
that's your
yeah,
your final light. Do you have any final light
yeah,
to
that's
give?
it. Yeah, I think we can. I think we are, you know, and we can add on to what we have created. You know, that's why I say the new creations they have to take off the name hip hop, in my opinion, to create something different. Not saying that hip hop should go away, but it needs to be something else created for that generation because we're not gonna attach ourselves to what the younger people are doing. And and we shouldn't have any problem with what they're doing because you know we were young and then
Right.
we did our different thing and
Right.
we from you know the funk, the disco, and even jazz, we took those elements and we created something. They're gonna take elements from hip hop because some of this stuff is hip hop mixed with something else. So is it still hip hop?
Give us some final light. Send the people some final light at the end of this.
Know everything that's inside of you. Know that you have gifts, right? That supersede anything that is placed out in front of you. So if we looking at hip hop or anything and we say, oh well, it's already set or it's already done. No. The limits of any style, the limits of any genre, the limits of any thought body, the limits of anything created have never been reached. So all life wants you to do is contribute your creativity because that is a divine gift that you've been given by the Most High is to create. So the creativity is ongoing, just like our state of the union
State of the
is
black
ongoing.
union.
It is just like Most Def said on the Black on Both Sides album. He said people ask me what hip hop is doing. He said I say, well, what are we doing? Hip hop is doing what we're doing. Art comes from the artist, not the other way around. So just know that you are the artist and create and continue to create. Absolutely. Ashe, Ashe. Well
Ashe.
said, well said. Yes, I. Well,
Yes, I. Give thanks, brothers.
yeah, man. Bless up. Bless
Peace.
up. Hold
Bless up.